True story. Our school needed a new team name. The search for an alternative was on. An alternative is one of multiple courses of action we can take. Creative alternatives are important because a decision can only be as good as your best alternative. You can't choose an alternative you haven't thought of, and without alternatives, you don't have a decision. You just have to do it. Of course, I was absolutely certain we should be the Rattlers, either that or the Cobras. But my teacher pointed out how one of the qualities of good alternatives is being significantly different. She encouraged me to get outside of my reptilian box. She also warned me not to fall into the either-or decision trap, settling for two obvious alternatives rather than thinking of more possibilities. My narrow frame kept me from realizing there are usually more alternatives than those we think of first. Brainstorming with a team helped me stretch my thinking. We've all heard of brainstorming. It's a method to generate creative alternatives. But how can we optimize our brainstorming? First, we need to separate evaluating the alternatives from generating them. Analysis and creativity use different parts of the brain. Analyzing alternatives at the time you imagine them shuts down your creativity. Second, you should go for quantity over quality. Create a long list that includes crazy ideas. Something that seems crazy at first might prove worthwhile when you build on it. When generating alternatives, we need to avoid idea killers like, "That will never work," "That's dumb," or "There's no time for that." A creative idea is fragile and needs to be nurtured to grow into its potential. When brainstorming in groups, we should build on the ideas of others and appreciate the differences in our values and perspectives. While it may not be easy to work with someone who sees the world differently, that variety is the source of new solutions. Even conflict can be constructive when we handle it right. One way to do that is to look for hybrids. A hybrid is where you bring together two good alternatives to get something great. Like one friend thought of the gorillas, and another thought of the mangoes. And we put them together and came up with the mangorillas. Good alternatives are those that both satisfy our values and are doable. That is, alternatives that get us what we want and are under our control. Once you have a good list of alternatives, you can give each a reality test by asking 3 questions about their possible outcomes. First, is this likely to get us what we want? Second, is this reasonable? And finally, would we really do it? If you answer no to any of these questions, then the alternative doesn't pass the reality test. As students, we can recognize that any alternative that is not potentially attractive to the principal wouldn't be doable. In the end, our principal, sticking with history and tradition, recommended a simple solution to the superintendent, who made the ultimate decision. So now we are the Axe. I still like the Rattlers, though.